It's Sam, and I'm making this video to talk about relationships. We've had Venus in Libra for the last several months as I make this recording in December, on December 18th. And it's been definitely been a time of evaluating our interactions with others and, how much we're able to accommodate and yield, not just romantic partnerships, but in life in general. I've seen a lot of weird things going on, of course, in personal lives, but even online, and people's level of civility and ability to speak their mind without getting into fights, especially with people that don't agree with us and whatnot. This transit of Venus through Libra came after a long cycle of Mars joined Ketu as well. But it's been quite an interesting time, and before Venus completely leaves Libra, I'm going to be doing an online weekend course on relationships and more. And it's going to be about 12 to 15 hours of online Zoom conference live, call, where you get to have me go over relationship astrology. And, I'm going to take an extended look at the components that allow astrologers to do great astrology readings. And I'm going to focus on several things that are from an approach that I developed years ago called 3D relationships. And 3D relationships, you focus first on the individual and their capacity. Then you focus on the synastry, which is what they do in Western astrology mainly, where you lay one chart on top of the other. And then the third is you focus on the Vedic Indian approach with the Kuta scores. And that has to do with things like the Ashtakutas, where you have the Rashi Kuta, Bhava Kuta, Yoni Kuta, Gana Kuta, and then other conditioning factors like Sri Dirg and Raju and different things like that. So it's really the most comprehensive way to do astrology readings that I know. I should say relationship astrology readings, because you start with the most important thing, which is the individual. And on the first day, I'm going to be focusing a lot on the individual and their capacities, because everyone has an inherent capacity. And that inherent capacity is reflected in all of your partners and all of your partnerships and all of your interactions with everybody in your life, not just romantic interactions. So you understand that you have a kind of general relationship with everybody in your life. And as you improve all of your people skills, all of your relationships improve, right? That's based on your inherent capacity. So when people say, oh, why do I just keep attracting jerks? And why are men all blah, 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 blah? Understand that's you. That's what you're bringing to the equation. So I'm sure you're a real ball of fun to be with if that's your point of view, that all men are jerks and da 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 da, right? That's what you're bringing. That's what you're creating. That's what you're seeing. And everyone's relationship with you has one thing in common: you. So again, we need to look at that first. And so on the first day of the 3 days, I'm going to get into that. Then on the second day of the 3 days, I'm going to talk about the synastry and the buttons that get pushed when you lay one chart on top of another, which is very important because that shows the really active kind of, literally like buttons that get pushed when you get around someone. Someone's Saturn is on your moon. Like, let's say someone has Saturn at 15 degrees Capricorn and you have the moon at 16 degrees Capricorn. Well, then their Saturn is going to be right on top of your moon. That means something. Someone's Venus on your moon. That means something. Someone's Saturn on your Venus. That means something. Seventh house ruler means something. Ascendant means something. So I'm going to focus not just on synastry in general, but also very specific. That's called synastry. And the buttons getting pushed, the real active thing you feel around another person. Sometimes you get those buttons pushed and it's really interesting. but there's a deeper soul connection that's missing. And that deeper soul connection comes from the Kuta planets, right? And when you look at the planets and the planetary Kutas, that's what the Ashtakuta system, mainly of the moon, but you can actually do that with all the planets, is match their Ashtakuta point scores. And that shows a deeper connection between like one person's moon and another person's moon. One person's sun, the other person's sun. Mercury and Mercury, right? And so again, that's when you get into individuals. So when we start assessing our individual connection with others, then we get into the synastry and the kutas. But that all is filtered through the individual. So I'm going to be doing this extensive weekend course on this, and I'm going to also focus on some things that I haven't ever taught before. So some of you have learned astrology, have learned relationship astrology from me before, because I've taught entire course on it. For example, here's me teaching course at the Shivananda Center in San Francisco several years ago. It was a 2-day course on these same factors, and you just get that as a bonus. That's just a free bonus. And I'm going to be going over some of that material for sure as well. But again, I'm going to just give that as a bonus. It sells like every day for like $97. So it's a very valuable course. It was actually 12 hours. So you just get that as my gift for registering. Certainly worth the price of the course in itself. But I'm extending it beyond that because I'm also going to be talking about a few things that I didn't focus on as much in that weekend. For example, the lunar nodes and connections that seem fated, like fate. Lunar nodes are extremely important in relationships. Of course, people who have the lunar nodes involved in their relationship factors also seem to have relationships that are extreme and dynamic. When one person's nodes interact with our chart, it shows a kind of past and future karma. Very important. Also, the lunar nodes as they relate to sexuality and different things, I'm also going to talk about in the individual capacity part. Lunar nodes, sexuality, and fate. Also, latest research into different relationship models. You'll really love this. This is actually based on some of the work of Alison Armstrong, who I really like. She's very practical, and especially talking about different relationship styles, different relationship models. There's like a legacy model, people who want to have children and build a future. That's the legacy model. There's also the let's enjoy life model, like let's just have fun and enjoy life and da 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 da. Then there's the sort of counseling model, like let's work on our stuff together model. Let's get in there and blow our life up and work on it and transform. That's the kind of that's the counseling model. So again, there are different kind of paradigms for different kind of relationship models. Even just learning this is very important. But you'll be able to see it in charts as well. We're going to say, what kind of model do you think this person will have? What kind of relationship model, right? So being able to see that is very important. Also looking at the sun and moon and the qualities of masculine and feminine, the archetypes of masculine and feminine, very important. Especially like the man's masculine, the woman's feminine. Seeing how these things are in benefit and detriment, individually and within a couple and all of that, and our capacity to have the confidence to assert and the capacity to receive. All of this is very important in relationship paradigms. So we'll talk about that a lot. And then, different Indian relationship concepts when we start getting into our individual capacities and interactions, like things that are from like the Kama Sutra and the whole kind of dance of masculine and feminine is very beautiful and elegant, especially in Indian energetics. Again, evaluating the feeling capacity and style with the moon. Lunar nodes, sexuality and fate. One of the things that the nodes also do is they really exacerbate and concentrate and exaggerate certain qualities of gender and sexuality. for example. And I'll explain the difference in how they do it, because each node does it differently with each planet, but it really leads to a lot of, masculine or feminine based on which node is being influenced. Then, again, masculine and feminine capacities, very important. Then when we get into the synastry, the most important connections for ease between two charts on day 2. The important connections that bring stress and problems in synastry. And again, this is very general because that includes, every planet. This is how we look at every planet, every kind of association. For example, aspects through synastry, also very important. And things you must see there if there's going to be a long-term relationship. So again, relationship factors in synastry, including the 7th house and Venus. Then sun-moon connections. Again, especially you want to see that the dynamic is flowing properly, like man, sun, woman, moon. That masculine, feminine dynamics through synastry are being supported, not detracted. Then we get into Vedic Kutas and different spiritual structures. The Ashtakuta overview. This is related to nakshatras primarily, and mainly the lunar nakshatra, but they're also evaluated based on the rashis and the signs. And again, very much follows the structures that you see also in Vedic astrology. Every Vedic astrological text that talks about the zodiac puts nakshatras and rashis in the same portion of space. No, it's unambiguous. Whether other people do different things, they're not doing what's in the text. Okay, and it's very clear. It's in every text that signs and nakshatras are aligned. 2 1/4 nakshatras, 9 padas, all of that in every text that talks about the zodiac, or they refer to texts that define the zodiac. So that's not a debatable point. But you'll see that in the Ashtakutas, they're nakshatra-based, and then some are based on rashis, others are based on bhavas or houses, which are all aligned with sidereal space. So again, it really connects the relationship factors with the energetics of Indian cosmology, literally. We'll also see things like Sri Dirg, which is the distance to the woman. Again, this is based on a lot of the Indian energetic models. And then the overview of each Kuta, for example. There's a couple things here that shouldn't be there, like hemming and exact degrees, but dashas are very important. Dashas are about the timing, right? And learning how to read the timing in romantic relationships, but again, in all relationships, because our romantic relationship is a composite of all the relationships, right? And then many inside tricks that only come from 15 years of full-time astrology practice, readings, and classes. And yes, I want you to know that. I didn't just start doing this. This is probably the 4th time that I've taught relationship astrology as a major course, 4th or 5th time. And I keep adding to it because I've done more. I've done more work. I've done more readings. I've had more experience, right? And that's important. If you're going to learn, you should learn from people who have done it. They're not just theorizing, right? So, you can also get, as I said, bonus that entire course when I taught it before, right? The entire class on 3D relationships, where I just take absolute beginners through the class, and they are doing it at a very high level by the end. And then it's also, you want to know that it's a Zoom call. So it's actually recorded on Zoom. It's a live Zoom conference. So you'll be there with other students, and also my senior students will be answering your questions while the class is going on. While I'm teaching, you can get those questions answered, and then they'll also feed me the questions that they couldn't answer. So it's very interactive. It's done on 3 days. So it's only $179 for about 12 to 15 hours of classes. And it'll be live December 28, 29, and 30th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the end of this year, approximately 10 to 4 p.m. with breaks all 3 days, okay? So, again, if you have to work, let's say, on the Friday or whatever, again, it'll be archived. So even if you miss like the first day or something, you'll still get a lot out of it in real time. And you have the recordings for the rest of your life. So this is the way I do classes now. It really works well for people. And I'm sure you'll really get a lot out of it. And if you're one of my certification course students, you'll have a special coupon code that you've been sent, and you want to use that. You want to do that because I want to support my students that have studied and that have graduated from the school. So you get 33% off that, which takes it to a little more than $100 for all that great training, and you can come and gather live with your other fellow students. So it's a great way to really learn from the convenience of your home, but also live at the same time. It's not like you're just listening to something. You're engaged and live, and then you get the recordings like right away afterward. So again, love to have you there, and it's going to be a great deep dive into not just relationships and the 3D relationship astrology approach that I've taught, but also things that really enhance it, like the relationship models, a special focus on Rahu and Ketu, because I haven't taught that as explicitly as I need to. I'm going to talk about other things like the moon and our capacities for receptivity and for love and our bonding styles. We all have a certain style of emotional bonding as well. So all that's there. I'm sure you really like it, and I'd love to have you in the class on December 28, 29, and 30.